Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, presented by the Face Off Sports Network, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, waiver, fab, free agent pickups, NFL picks, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo. We are back for Week 12 NFL picks presented by the Face Off Sports Network. And we are starting to pick up heat as we go further and further into the season. 3 out of the last 4 winning weeks. Even last week, we ended up tying. Didn't go on last night, which I usually do after the Thursday night game. Interesting game between the Browns and the Steelers in the snow. Jameis Winston gets it done. Love to see Nick Chubb getting 2 touchdowns. I'm not going to go into a full recap in that, but obviously George Pickens let you down. Najee Harris let you down. And, this is it this week and then week 13 and week 14 until the fantasy playoffs. But we are here for NFL picks. And so far, our record on the year after last week, we went 3-1. Had the Dolphins last week. I had the Bills, had the Chargers Bengals over on that Sunday night game. We did have the Seattle over, which didn't go over. But we were 3-1, and we're now 46-1. That is 50.5%. So we are over the 50 percentile for the first time this year. It's been a little bit of a struggle. We had a slow start to the season, but we've been picking it up every single week. Going back to week 8, we were 8-3. Week 9, we were 7-4. And week 10, we were 3-3. And then last week, 3-1. So 3 of the last 4 winning weeks. We feel like we have another solid week upcoming. Once again, we got 8 more picks for you. But last year, we were 54.5%. We were over the 52.5%. Anything over that, you're cashing. And we plan to get, over that 52.5% again this year. And another winning week this week would put us over that. So I like it. Let's get into it as we start. And guys, as you're joining us, if you want to go into the chat, you want to talk anything about fantasy football, NFL picks, you want to talk about a little bit NBA, whatever you want to talk about, we'll bring up the comments as we're going through these games. But first game this week is going to be an interesting one. And it's going to be between the Detroit Lions and the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. Indianapolis is catching 7.5 points at home. The over-under in this game is 50.5 or 50. You can find 50 at Bet365, Caesars, DraftKings. It's pretty much 7.5 across the board. The Lions are about a 4-1 favored here. And the Colts are like a 3-1 dog, plus 330 I see, and the best in the money line at DraftKings. But interesting game. We saw Anthony Richardson come in last week, get that big win against the Jets. Last drive, he leads them down the field. They win on the road, 28-27. We see Josh Downs have another big day. He scores a touchdown. Anthony Richardson runs in 2 touchdowns. He runs in the winning touchdown as well. And so Flacco was the starter. He played terrible for 2 games straight, turn over the ball left and right. They go back to Richardson. Some missed throws once again, but some big-time throws. He made some clutch throws in this game and got the job done. And now he takes on the Lions, who are 9-1. They haven't lost since they played Tampa Bay all the way back in September, losing 20-16. They've won 8 straight since then, or 7 straight since then. 8 straight since then, rather. They're 8-2 against the spread, but the Colts are 8-3 against the spread. And, they're coming off a win off Jacksonville, 52-6. You can't get any higher than that, basically. They're on a massive win streak. They blow the other team out as 14-point dogs. Mac Jones. Now they go to Indianapolis in a dome. Detroit obviously plays in a dome, so they're a little bit used to that. But I just think that the Colts can kind of backdoor this with Anthony Richardson, 7.5 at home. I think it's a little bit too much. I see like a 6, maybe a 5-6 point spread. I think Richardson Pierce, Pittman, Downs, Jonathan Taylor, Steichen and company. The defense can make some plays, maybe pick Goff off a couple times, maybe get a strip sack or two, possibly slow down the run game. We'll see. But I just think the Colts with Anthony Richardson, riding that wave of a big win last week, I think they could, it's going to be tough for them to win this game, obviously, but I think they could backdoor it late and get the cover here. So that is going to be the first pick. Colts plus 7.5. And we are also going to take the total over 50 here. And again, you could find that on Caesars, DK, Bet 365. And why are we taking the over? Look at the Lions, some of their scores this year. 42-29 with Seattle, so that's over that 50 total. 47-9 against Dallas, that's over the 50 total. 31-29 against Minnesota, that's over the 50 total. 52-14 against Tennessee, that's over the 50 total. And then last week against Jacksonville, 52-6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games over that total this year. Then they had a couple that came close. They were just they had a 49 total against Houston. They had a 46 against the Rams. But we like it. We like this game to go over again. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will get going against this Colts defense and their cover 3 defense. Jameson Williams, Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporte is back this week healthy. And on the flip side, I think Anthony Richardson and company could put up some points as well. So maybe the Colts don't cover here, but if they don't cover, this game is likely going over. So if the worst comes to worst, you're getting a split. But we like to go 2-0 here. He could tease the Colts with the over as well. Get that up to 11 or 12.5 there. 13.5 rather, and then you get 56.5 on the over. So that's going to be the first 2 picks here: Colts plus 7.5 and over 50.5. And we got a couple comments here. We got Jamie, our boy, joining us once again for NFL picks. What's up, Jamie? Glad to have you, brother. Jamie also says Lions can put up 40 points. Yes, they can. And he says, did you do something different with the lighting in your background? I'm liking more chill look. Yeah, I mean, it's a late night show. Actually, my brother-in-law was in town and he bought this light he went to Walmart, the kids. He bought them some stuff, like some Sonic stuff. And he bought this light for them. And I kind of just took it and put it in the studio over here. And you could change all different colors. This is like a blue light. So creates more of like a purplish blue. And it's good for the nighttime show. So yeah, I like it too, man. I appreciate that. So let's keep the picks going. And again, as you guys want to talk about anything, throw it in there. Jamie, once again, if you finished, your wide receiver cornerback article, drop the link of, where that article is going to be. I want to check that out. I don't think you dropped it last week or every other time I asked you, I don't think you dropped it. So make sure you drop that, man. I want to check that wide receiver cornerback article you drop it. I definitely want to read that. Or just email it to me, stevedangelo@gmail.com, or just drop it in my Twitter at Fantasy Savvy. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing to the show, hit the notification button, hit that like button, follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. All right, pick 3 here. So the Colts plus 7.5, Colts Lions over 50. Pick 3. We are going to go to Houston, and the Texans are playing the Titans this week. Minus 7.5. I was trying to find a 7 here at one of these 5 books. Couldn't find it. There's a couple 8s. DK has it as an 8. But mostly 7.5. BetMGM, FanDuel, Bet365, Caesars. You could buy the hook. I like buying the hook. Pay maybe 120, 125 if you have to. I don't mind it. Just because, that 7 is just nice to have. So we're going to take the Texans. Yeah, we are going to take the Texans minus 7 here. And why are we doing that? Why are we taking the Texans minus 7? I just want to pump this up real quick. Not that. That was not supposed to play, but all good. Yeah, so we're going to take the Texans minus 7. And, Will Levis, playing a little bit better of late, a little bit, but still losing to the Chargers 27-17. losing last week to Minnesota 23-13. So they're still not doing much on offense. It's really just Ridley out there. Westbrook Akine, he's got 5 touchdowns his last 6 games. Texans, have allowed the second most receiving touchdowns to receivers. I did a sleepers video. Go check that out. For this bye Mageddon here we got in week 12 with 6 teams off. Nick's Westbrook Akine is not a terrible start this week. I would like the freaking Titans to use Chigaquanquo more. I don't know. Get him more involved. Get him some like delayed routes, some screen routes. Get him into the open field. Titans defense is not bad either. And the Texans have had a tough time protecting Stroud. But second game with Nico back now, he came back against Dallas, but it was like his first game back. He did score in that game, like the first drive, the first play of the game. It was called back during the penalty, but he'll be a little bit more accustomed now, second week back. Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz started to get a little bit into the mix. Mixon has looked great. Even John Mechie is starting to step up a little bit. And I think the Texas defense can cause a little bit of havoc here. I think they're going to get Will Anderson back on the defensive line. Cause a little bit of havoc against Willie Levis, who I call Willie Fubu's. Turn him into turn him into Willie Fubu's this week. Pick him off once or twice, maybe a strip sack or two. Texans have been, they lost 2 straight before, and they've lost 3 out of their last 4 until they played Dallas and won 34-10. So I think they're going to ride that momentum a little bit. They're going to want to get business done here. They dominated the last matchup against the Titans last year, winning 26-3. So I'm going to take the Texans -7.5. I think Stroud will have a nice game. With Nico back in his second game, I think their defense will make enough plays. I just don't see the Titans, like, where are they going to be able to put up points? Is Willie Levis going to come out and start throwing darts to Ridley left and right? And so they may put up 14, 17 points, but I think the Texans will put up like at least 24, 27, something like that. Get the job done. They put up 34 against Dallas. They put up 23 against Detroit. They only lost by a field goal to Detroit. They lost to the Jets. That was just a hideous ass game. They did beat the Colts the week before that, 23-20. And they also did beat Buffalo earlier in the year as well. So, yeah, I think the Texans start to get a little bit of a roll here now that Nico's back. They get the job done. They cover the spread -7.5. All right, next game. Let's just go back to the chat. What's Jamie saying? Jamie says, don't you usually do the show this Thursday? Today, Friday, my article is live. Oh, that's right. That's right, man. I forgot. Yeah, my friend from New Jersey was in town yesterday. He called me last minute. He said, I'm down south. I'm going to come up and visit you. So we hung out last night. And so that's why I didn't do it. We were hanging out. I told Anthony I'd do it today. And Jamie says, shout out to Steve D'Angelo for being the #1 QB ranker in the world. Yeah, I saw that. I finally hit #1 this week. I bounced back from my excursion with my brother. That was a little bit of a shit show, and bounced back a little bit. So yeah, that is technically, I guess I am the #1 quarterback ranker in the world, according to Fantasy Pros, which is like one of the few real ranking systems that they have. So yeah, it feels pretty good. I got to get my other rankings a little bit better. The running backs, the receivers, the tight ends, they get a little bit tricky. Got to bump those a little bit, but 31 overall now. This is my best. This is my 3rd year doing this. So this is my best year. I'm kind of figuring out how to do these rankings a little bit better. But thanks, Jamie. I appreciate you shouting me out. Jamie says, Will Levis is on track to take a cruise with Daniel Jones soon. I agree. We could see Mason Rudolph back in there again. They were laughing at me. In the preseason, I was talking about, we're going to see Mason Rudolph probably at some point this year. And everybody was saying, no way, Will Levis is going to get better and better. But yeah, I don't know, man. He's got a long ways to go. He's got the tool. Like, he's got a great arm. I don't know. There's something off there. He's just too turnover prone, just too mistake prone. He just misses too much stuff. And then Jamie says, I got a friend from New Jersey too. They're firemen and was on my Start Sit show a few weeks ago. Where's he from? Do you know what town he's from, Jamie? Yeah, my friend's in Florida here. He's leaving in a couple of days, but he took off today, but it was good to see him last night. All right, back to the picks. And we're going to go to New Jersey. Actually, we're going to go to New Jersey with this game. And we're going to go to East Rutherford, New Jersey. New York Giants. They do play in New Jersey. I used to work 5 minutes from the stadium in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. Tons of good pizza spots. There's a new spot that just opened in Rutherford, which is a town right next to East Rutherford, called Casano's. Place looks absolutely amazing. It's no slices. You can only get pies, but looks great. When I go back to Jersey, if I go get back again this summer, I'm definitely going to check it out. But so in steps, Tommy DeVito. Daniel Jones is cut today. Had an emotional press conference. Look, he looked like he was almost tearing up. Supposedly, he requested to be cut, to be released, and it looked good at times for Daniel Jones. Especially that first year with Dable. He was pretty efficient. I think he only had like 16 touchdowns, but he wasn't to turn the ball over that much. He was running for a lot of yards. It almost looked like Dable had it and like was going to keep developing him. And then last year was a shit show. And this year, it's just been terrible as well. So they go to DeVito. They don't go to Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock came in like one game this year, and he didn't really look that good. So I think they're just looking for a spark. I mean, we saw this last year with the Giants. That Monday night game. I forget who they played, but they pulled a pretty big upset. And I remember I went against the Giants. Oh, it was against the Packers last year. And DeVito, led the winning drive in the Meadowlands on Monday night. So the Giants fans from New York and New Jersey are going to be out there. They're going to be tailgating. They're going to be, eating their fresh mozzarella. They're going to, making their cutlets. And they're just going to be fine. Some meatballs. They got the pasta. So the Italians will be out, man. Tommy DeVito. So you got Tommy DeVito on the Giants. You got Anthony Volpe on the Yankees. And, a couple hometown guys. DeVito's from Jersey. Again, he played at Don Bosco, which is a huge Catholic school in New Jersey. And then, so it's gonna be interesting, and they're catching 6 points on DraftKings and Caesar's Sportsbook, and also Bet365 against the Bucks coming into town. Now the Bucks defense, I guess they looked a little bit better before their bye against San Francisco. Not terrible, but they've kind of looked lost all year. 41 to Baltimore. 31 to Atlanta, 30 to the Chiefs, 36 to Atlanta. They got torched by Kirk Cousins for 10 touchdowns in 2 games. Jaden Daniels beat them up a little bit week 1, 20 points out in his debut. Spencer Rattler actually put up 27 points for the Saints. I think he had like 18 fantasy points. And that's one of the reasons I like DeVito in fantasy this week. If you don't have Burrow or Allen, I don't think DeVito's a terrible pivot with the way he runs the ball. He could run one in, he could pass one, he could get 2 touchdowns, he can get over 200 total yards, he can give you 15, maybe up to 20 points max in fantasy, but this is not a bad matchup. Now, I know Neighbors is questionable. I believe it's a groin injury today, didn't practice, so that is concerning. But, I mean, DeVito didn't have Neighbors last year. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, who's solid. Slayton's not bad. Jalen Hyatt, DeVito's got a history with him. I think Jalen Hyatt had a 100-yard game with DeVito last year. I think Wan'Dale also had a 100-yard game. I think DeVito's highest passing total was around 260 yards last year. But he did run for like 70 yards in one game, 40 yards in a couple games. So he can make plays with his legs. He can escape pressure. You got Tyrone Tracy, who's looked good. Theo Johnson might be a good play in fantasy this week. Tampa has been worst against tight ends the last 8 weeks. So I don't mind using DeVito in fantasy, and I don't mind taking the Giants +6 with a little bit of energy behind them now with Daniel Jones out of the way. Again, we all watched that Hard Knocks, that decision to, not get the quarterback, try to build talent around Daniel Jones, trade Barkley has just been a disaster, which, ultimately cost Daniel Jones his job and ultimately might cause Joe Shane his job, and maybe even Brian Dable, who one of my friends in New Jersey goes to school with his daughter. So that might not be lasting too much longer either. So This is going to be an interesting game. I think DeVito's going to have the crowd fire up, the team rejuvenated. He brought some life into this team last year before he kind of faded into the dust. But we've seen this from quarterbacks like this before, backup quarterback. They're good for like 1, 2, 3 games before they fade out. And I think DeVito will bring the energy here. So +6 with the Giants. And also, I like the over. I really think the over actually might be the best play of this game, and maybe one of my, is probably one of my best bets out of all my plays this week. So you can get the over 41, bet 365, Caesars and DraftKings. And with Mike Evans coming back, with Mayfield, who I believe is third in passing touchdowns, he's been solid all year. Evans has a great history against the Giants. Anthony was pointing that out on the show earlier today. So Evans, and then the Giants also play a lot of single high, which Evans has historically torched up. You don't want to play single high against Evans. He beats corners deep all the time, and Baker's going to give him shots deep for sure. So it does look like Evans could have a pretty big game here. And then Kate Otton's been solid. They got Bucky Irving and Rashad White, even a little bit of Sean Tucker they can mix in. These guys are all healthy. I know Irving was a little bit banged up, so he got a bye to rest. So they'll be fresh. They'll be ready to go. It's possible Bowles changed some things on defense. Maybe he's got something for DeVito, but I think the Giants could put up 17 points, maybe 20 points, and the Bucs should be able to put up at least 24, 23, 24. So this game should go over. It's kind of a sneaky over. There's really no weather here. A little bit of a breeze, sustained winds, maybe a hair under 15 miles an hour, and gusts around 25. But gusts, they come and go every once in a while. But the Giants have already said they want to run the ball a lot. So I think it's a good over. It's a solid over. So that's going to be picks 4 and 5, Giants +6, and Bucs Giants over 41. You can get that on DK and a couple other books as well. So that cleans it up for the 1 o'clock games. We'll move into the 4 o'clock slot now. And Al says, "Sup, Steve?" And Jamie says his friend is from Bayonne. Nice, man. I actually had a good friend from Bayonne as well. That's a cool spot, across the water from Staten Island over there. It is kind of like another borough of New Jersey a little bit. A lot of good pieces spots over there. He says one dude works for McCabe Ambulance. And he says, my bad. He used to be a former medical technician at McCabe, but now he's a firefighter at Bayonne. Oh, shout out to him, man. That's great. If you ever go visit him, I'm sure he's got some good Italian spots to take you to. I haven't really spent much time in Bayonne, but my one friend was from there. He moved to a different town, but he always said, I think he's actually back there now. I think he moved back there. And then Jamie says, Giants could get 16 points, 1 TD, and 3 field goals. So we got Al and Jamie joining us once again. If you guys are watching on Facebook or Twitter, head over to YouTube, like the show, subscribe, and, pop in and ask any questions that you have. All right. So now we'll move to the 4 o'clock. And we just got word on this game earlier that Brock Purdy will not be playing this week. Instead, it will be freaking Brandon Allen.
Get it in here. I got one thing to say. This is when the big dogs come out. Okay?
So Brandon Allen, can he run with the big dogs? I don't think so. I mean, I'm surprised they're not going with Josh Dobbs personally. Josh Dobbs is at least, he could create some stuff with his feet. He can make some plays. He's won some games in this league. I don't know if Brandon Allen has ever won a game in his career. He was on Denver back in 2019, 46% completion rate, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was in Cincinnati the couple years before that, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks in 2020, 63% completion rate. 2021, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 50% completion rate. 2022, I think he made, I don't know what he did, maybe 1 start. It just looks like maybe he came in for a couple passes. He had 22 yards. So this guy, you don't know what to expect. I'm not expecting a lot. I'm kind of worried about Jawan Jennings. Now, he's been in the system. He's been with the Niners this year. and they're going with him over Josh Dobbs, which might be saying something. Maybe they feel comfortable with him, and certainly Shanahan's system has taken some pretty underwhelming quarterbacks like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's better than Brandon Allen, but like Jimmy Garoppolo has looked pretty good at times in this system. Sam Darnold had some decent games. Um, he looked decent at least. And, obviously Brock Purdy, last pick in the draft, has been elevated as well. So, with Debo, with Jennings, Kittle, McCaffrey, maybe it doesn't look as bad as I think, but I just think this is a tough spot to get thrown into the fire, to go to Lambeau, to take on the Packers, and Jordan Love, who, Jordan Love has been kind of banged up all year. This offense, we saw like a little bit flashes of what it could do. But Jordan Love is, he struggled with like this MCL injury and like ankle injuries. He's been kind of banged up all year. But we saw last week Christian Watson, who's been banged up. He's always banged up. But this is what Christian Watson does. He goes on these 3, 4, or 5 game hot streaks, and then he gets hurt again. So last week might be the start of another hot streak for Christian Watson. He's playing over Dontavian Wicks. He's playing more and running more routes than Jaden Reed. Him and Dobbs are kind of running the most routes, playing the most snaps, and goes for 4 for 150. Josh Jacobs is getting it going. This Green Bay defense is not bad. They're above average, I would say. So I think Green Bay gets it done here against Brandon Allen. I'm just going to fade Brandon Allen. Now we may get a bench. Like this game could be like, let's say 21-3 at halftime. And then Josh Dobbs comes in second half, and maybe he kind of gets his offense going and they get a backdoor cover. That's possible. But so maybe taking the Packers first half, combined with the Packers for the game, is the play. Maybe the Packers are like -3 in the first half. So I may do that. But for official reasons, we really don't put up first half plays here, though we could. We'll just take the Packers here, -5.5. I don't see a -5 or anything lower than that anywhere. So, just keep it at -5.5. It's under the 6-point number. And we like Love and this offense to finally kind of get into the groove a little bit, with Reed, with Watson, with Dobbs, Tucker Kraft, maybe a little bit of Dontavian Wicks, the defense to make some plays, turn over Brandon Allen. Maybe we see Josh Dobbs in the second half, but I think the Packers get it done here. They move to 8-3. The Niners move to 5-6. This is a big game for both teams. And I just think, the Niners are in trouble, and we don't even week 13 status for Brock Purdy is in doubt as well. And it's some kind of, shoulder inflammation. His shoulder's bothering. So we don't really know what the full extent could be. It could be more serious, maybe they do further tests and it reveals something else. So we'll just have to wait and see. But for this week, I do not trust Brandon Allen. Give me Jordan Love and the Packers at home, and a little bit of a weather too. A little bit of a weather game. Seems like a rain shower too is possible. Though most models are showing rain until just after the game, but we'll see. It's Green Bay. It's just snowed in freaking Cleveland. It snowed in New Jersey actually yesterday as well. So could get snow in this game. Could get a little bit of weather. Either way, let's go with Green Bay -5.5 for pick 6 in the 4:00 slot. And Jamie says, "Oh shit, almost forgot to hit the like button." Yes, guys, please hit that like button. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook or Twitch, come over to YouTube, Face Off Sports Network, FF Face Off, and watch on there and give us a like and subscribe as well. We also got a giveaway, jersey giveaway we're doing. So if you subscribe to the show, take a picture of it, put it on the Twitter, FF Face Off, and you'll be in the drawing. And come in and talk some football with us as well. We're here usually after every Thursday night game. But this week, again, I had a friend come over, so we went Friday night. All right. Now we'll go to Sunday night football. And I really like this pick. I mean, I think it's fairly strong. You guys let me know if you agree on Sunday night football. Between the Eagles and the Rams. These two teams played last year, October 8th. And the Eagles did win 23-14. Stafford, 21 of 37, 222, two touchdowns. Kupp had 8 for 118. Nakua, 7 for 71. Hurts, 303 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also ran for 72 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 6 for 127. Goddard, 8 for 117 and a touchdown. Devonta Smith, just 1 catch and 6 yards, but he's not playing in this game. But I like, this game was in LA. So similar case here. Remember the Eagles beginning of last year, they were playing great. Then they faded down the stretch. And then they started a little bumpy here, but they're playing good football once again. But you look at their schedule. They beat Washington last week. Good win. 26-18 on Thursday Night Football. But Jaden Daniels did not look healthy. Go back and look at his throws. Now, the 10 days rest, he's saying he's feeling a bit better. I was reading an article, Kingsbury saying, like, things are changing. He's getting healthier. We're going to open up the offense a little bit. Like, their offense was, you could tell the way that it was designed. It was a lot of short passes, and it just looked out of whack. So Daniel's not healthy. Hopefully the 10 days off, think he did indicate he's feeling better. He's feeling healthier. So this could be, in DFS, I know a lot of people are kind of fading Daniels. This could be a week to go back to him and maybe get a possible, nice little explosion with him and McLaurin. But they beat, they beat Daniels. They beat Dallas, big whoop, 34-6. They beat Jacksonville, 28-23. Good win against the Bengals in Cincinnati. I'm not going to lie. Again, no T. Higgins in that game, but 37-17. They held Burrow to like 250 and a touchdown. They beat the Giants. They beat Cleveland. And then before that, they lost to Tampa. They barely beat New Orleans. They lost to Atlanta. So, I mean, this Eagle team is good. They're favored by 3 going into LA. The Rams have kind of been like, they play good, they play bad. They look good against Seattle, then they lose to Miami, and then they struggle a little bit with New England, but they get the job done 28-22 going to the East Coast. Now they go back home, and Nakua, Kupp, Kyron, Davis Allen is running more routes than Colby Parkinson, even though Parkinson had that touchdown. I kind of like Davis Allen a little bit. I think he can make some plays in this game. I think the Rams pass rush maybe can make some plays against Hurts. No Devonta Smith, so a little bit more attention on A.J. Brown and Goddard. We've seen certainly games where and a lot of times where Hurts kind of goes into these funk passing the ball. So the over is 49. I'm going to stay away from that, although I could certainly see it going over, but I could see it going under as well. But we're going to take the Rams -3. We're going to take Stafford. +3 at home. Rams +3 with their passing offense, with their defense making some plays. No Devonta Smith. So I like this play a lot on Sunday Night Football. I think the Rams with McVay just get the job done. I really think they get the job done here. You can even take the money line +130. I think they're going to win this game outright. So the +3, I'll take that all day long in case, maybe the Eagles win by a couple points or maybe we get a push at the very least. But Rams +3. All right, so we got the Sunday Night Football game covered. Now we're going to go to Monday Night Football. And we are going to take the Los Angeles Chargers +3 as well at home. So another home dog here. Back-to-back home dogs. This just faded out on me real quick. Oh, there we go. The Chargers, man, they are playing good football. Jim Harbaugh, did you guys see him in the locker room after the win last week? I mean, this guy just creates such a great culture with his teams, winning the national championship at Michigan, all those successful years with the Niners, successful years at Stanford. And every time he took over the team, they had a losing record beforehand. And then he just turns the team around. He's just a winner. 54%. Interesting, just to note, what the public's on here or what the majority of the bets are on the games that I've taken. 65% on the Lions, where I took the Colts. 56% on Green Bay. I did take them. So not a huge difference, but 62% on the Eagles, taking the Rams and the Giants, Bucks. Where is that? 72% on Tampa. So I like that, going against the grain there. 62% on the over. So a lot of people are on the over there. The majority is on the over in that game. But let's, go back to this Monday night game. Chargers, Baltimore, great game. Good Sunday night game. Good Monday night game. This is going to be a very interesting matchup for sure between these two teams. And, the Chargers just playing really good football right now under Jim Harbaugh. Baltimore, tough loss last week. And does it run, now they got to go to the West Coast and take on the Chargers. And can they bounce back here, after losing to the Steelers 18-16, and then the Chargers coming off another big time win against the Bengals 34-27, and now won 4 in a row. The Ravens have some weird losses this year. They lost to Cleveland 29-24. They lost to the Raiders. Then they lose to Pittsburgh 18. I mean, losing to Pittsburgh not about, but Lamar was kind of slowed down in that game, and he's been historically slowed down against Pittsburgh and Tomlin in his career. And I just think the Chargers get it done here. I just, give me Herbert with the way he's playing. Ladd's coming up. Quentin Johnson, he's been decent. He's catching touchdowns. He's not on a lot of targets. Will Dissly stepping up. Dobbins has been solid. Josh Palmer, their defense. So I just think the Chargers on Monday night under Harbaugh against his brother, Jim Harbaugh versus John Harbaugh. Interesting storyline there, obviously. I think John gets it done. +3. And again, I see like another almost outright win here for the Chargers. So that is the picks. Guys, we got the Colts +7.5, Colts Lions over 50, Texans against the Titans -7.5, Giants +6 against Tampa, Bucks Giants over 41, Green Bay -5.5, the Rams +3 on Sunday Night Football, and the Chargers +3 on Monday Night Football.
To the players, reality is 1 against.
And that will wrap it up for the picks. What do we got in the chat? Jamie says Steelers beat the Ravens. The Browns beat the Steelers. So why not bet the Chargers? Because the Chargers are better than the Browns. Yeah, man. I think both dogs and Monday Night Dogs have a good history. I think they cover like 70% of the spreads. According to one stat I saw there by this guy, Josh, that I follow on Twitter. I don't think it happened last week. Right? Did it fly last week? I forget what the Monday night game was last week. But, good stat there. I think, again, the Chargers catching 3, the Rams catching 3. I think they're all solid picks. So 8 picks for you guys. 3-1 last week. 7-4 week 9, 8-3 in week 8, 3-3 in week 10. We are over 50 percentile. Last year, 54.5%. We're going to get there again. We're going to pick all the way through the Super Bowl. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Jamie says he's parlaying my picks for $1. Go for it, baby. Victor Blanco jumps in the chat. Appreciate that, man. He says, I have Josh Allen, Bo Nix, Brees, Josh Jacobs, Rashad White, Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase, Cortland Sutton, Malik Neighbors, Juwan Jennings, Will Dissly, Kelsey. I'm 5-6, 7th. If I win, I contend. Got offered Amon-Ra for Jamar. Are they the same, or do I bite the bullet? We got this question earlier from you with Anthony, and I think we were just saying, kind of hold on to Chase, man. Go with Sutton and Jennings this week. I know maybe Amon-Ra gives you that extra win, but I think it's tough. You got to keep Jamar. Jamie agrees as well. So keep Jamar. You still got a pretty good lineup there with Nix, Jacobs, Rashad, Eckler. You got Kelsey. So you got a good team. You got to keep Jamar. Yeah, you can't let go of Chase. He's just been he's been on fire. 5 touchdowns his last 2 games. He's absolutely dominating. And the Bengals defense can't really stop anybody. So it just forces Burrow and company just slinging. Like, Higgins came back last week, and when Higgins and Chase are on the field, they're just so freaking hard to cover. So yeah, hold on to Chase, Victor. I appreciate that. So that's it, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow to the show. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. We will see you next Thursday. Anthony and Pete will be back Sunday morning for one last Stardom Situm show. And I believe Anthony and I might come out with a DFS show tonight and maybe Hoff. We'll see. I'm going to probably maybe show that around noon tomorrow, maybe 1, sometime 12 to 2 Eastern. So check for that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you are aware. Take care, guys. See you soon.